Oh boy, have I been busy making this video. Today we are going to be talking about art guns. And when I say talking, I'm really just going to be going over each art gun, explaining what they do, and giving you the build I feel works best for each of them. I hope you all enjoy the video. I don't know why I wanted this to be my first Warframe upload, but I did put a ton of time and effort, so if you could leave a comment down below saying how I did or could do better, that would be great. Also, like and subscribe if you really enjoyed. It would help me so much, but I digress. I do have a Warframe build just for art guns, which will be starting off the video today, and I will be going with Ash. Sure, there are other Warframes like Gauss, Protea, Lavos. There's some fun builds out there that utilize Warframes like Mirage, Harrow, Garuda, and I can go on. But I chose Ash for one big reason. It's because he's just fun and simple. Alright, let's begin with Ash's build for our art gun. Since we'll be invisible most of the time, I have Combat Discipline in the Aura slot to activate Arcane Avenger, giving us 45% more critical chance. In the X-List slot, I have Prime Sure-Footed, just for those accidental blastings that happen and knock you down, get you killed. I have Primed Continuity, Narrow-Minded, and Augur Message for more ability duration. I have Primed Flow and Equilibrium for our energy economy, which will also be boosted by Dispensary, which will be talked about later on in the video. I have two augment mods, Seeking Shuriken as our armor strip, and Smoke Shadow, giving us 150% critical chance while we're invisible. And over at the Arcanes, I have Arcane Avenger, as mentioned before, for a nice 45% critical chance. And I have Arcane Crepuscular, which is one of the most important pieces of the build. While invisible, we gain 30% ability strength and 3 times final crit damage. Alright, for the Archgun shards, we have 3 ability duration and 2 strength. These I'm using for my Gunrunner build. So if you plan on using this build primarily for Archgun usage, I recommend more duration and possibly 1 casting speed. If you can't afford Tile Forge, regular Archon shards will just do the trick. Alright, let's move on to the last topic and go through a bit fast, so we can move on to the art guns. Now we'll be talking about the companion, and today we are choosing Nautilus. Using Nautilus because it's one of the 2 companions that can get to 1,200 max shields, which is needed for a reinforced bond, giving us more fire rate. Alright, we have Vacuum, staple for every single companion. We have Mediray for some added survivability. We have Momentous Bond for an extra bonus to your companion. Calculated Redirection for more shield so we can get the buff from Reinforced Bond. We got Tenacious Bond for more reduced recovery time, but mainly for the 1.2 final crit damage multiplier. And as said before, we got Reinforced Bond for the 60% fire rate. Next we have Primed Regen or Regen. Again, gets our companion up as fast as possible. The rest is really just filler. I have some Deconstruct and Accelerated Deflection, more survivability, more energy, because again we have Equilibrium. And to activate Tenacious Bond, we are going with Prime Laser Rifle, just to because it's one of the few weapons that can get over 50% critical chance. All you need is to put on critical delay. The rest of this isn't needed. Before we move on to Archguns, I will note this build works great in the Archimedes. Like if you get some bad RNG and you just need a little bit of help, this got you. Alright, art gun time. I will only be going over the higher variants of each art gun, but these builds will still work for both variants if you only have like regular Corvus or regular Larks for a regular build to carry on. Time to get this list going, starting with the Imperator Vandal. I would go over each weapon's stats and how they fully play out, but I really don't want to drag this video out too long, and for the build's sake, each mod setup is nearly identical, so I really just don't deem it necessary. Alright, we got Venomous Clip and Polar Magazine for the viral with combustion rounds giving us our heat. We got Hollow Bullets for even more crit damage, Parallax Scope for more crit chance, followed by Critical Focus for more critical chance and damage. And of course we got Prime Dual Rounds and Prime Rubido Line Barrel. If you do not have the prime variants of these mods, don't fret, the base ones will do fine. You just won't be doing as much damage as shown in the video. For Arcanes, we will be going with Primary Crux for the added status chance and ammo efficiency. Was tagged along by Cascadia Overcharge. While overshields are active, we get 300% critical chance. We'll be gaining our overguard from Augur Secrets. when we cast our abilities. Alright, Corvus Prime is up, and as I stated before, the mods will all be identical. So we have our viral, heat, crit damage, multi-shot, but luckily Corvus comes with innate heat damage, so we can use the extra mod slot for something like Sabbat rounds, which I have here, giving more damage, punch through, or you can go combustion rounds for even more heat damage, automatic trigger for more fire rate, whatever you're feeling like. Sabbat rounds is doing me pretty well, so I'm sticking with it. Alright, the Flectus is up next. Oh, this gun. It's such a fun idea, but it's just lacking compared to every single art gun we have. I copy and paste from our Imperial build and it does alright, but needs a little more love to have it compete between the other art guns in my opinion. Velocitus time, and boy do we have a powerhouse here. The one thing that will be changing with this build is we'll be replacing primary Crux with primary Deadhead, as those headshot multipliers do wonders on this gun. And thanks to its innate magnetic status, you'll be able to shred Xmas units even easier. Boom, we got the Doja Carry-Ons, one of the coolest art guns in my opinion. This will probably be my most used art gun after this video, just because it's just a blast, honestly. Again, paste heat viral build, and these shred. Also sharing this spot, second highest art gun Riven disposition with the Phaedra, if you're lucky enough to come across one. And now we move on to the Kuva Grattler. Loved by all. Make sure you have heat for its balance bonus. And with that done, you can put automatic trigger instead of combustion rounds and even boost your damage output even more with the added fire rate. With testing, it outperformed everything including Sabbat round. Moving on to the Phaedra. We got some changes including automatic trigger and secondary enervates. Another arcane change. Phaedra doesn't have a lot of base critical chance, but a high fire rate. So it really synergizes well with secondary enervate, which per hit gives you 10% crit chance until you get 6 big hits. Moving on to the Syngas, another copy and paste mod setup, and sadly this weapon may be the worst out of the art guns in my opinion. It's definitely strong, but compared to the practicality of the rest, it just doesn't do enough to not be on the bottom. Alright, moving on to the Kuveyanga. Yet again, another copy and paste, but definitely the lower performing of the two Kuva art guns that we have, due to it lacking the blast radius or even the fire rate of the Kuva Grattler. The Larkspur Prime. It's really the easiest art gun to use. You just aim, fire, and it does the rest for you. Switching to automatic triggers, Sabbat rounds, and secondary enervate, it being a chaining beam weapon like the new core, is the best opportunity to have secondary enervate due to its low critical chance. Here we are, finally getting to the Mausolon, the most used art gun in the game, and for a good reason. Great crit stats, especially for its fire rate, small explosion radius on its contact point, and a power alternate fire after you rack up a few kills. If you're wanting to run Orphix, just switch viral into corrosive and you're good to go. Cortege, the flamethrower of the art guns, shoot a beam of fire and melt everything in front of you. But it also has an alternate fire which shoots 3 grenades dealing blast damage and leaving an area of heat damage for a short amount of time. I will say you do get this art gun from Lloyd in the Necrolist, but you first must reach rank 3 in the Necroloid Syndicate to be able to purchase the blueprints, just in case you're wondering how to get it. The Morga is up next. Obtaining the Morga is the exact same way as you obtain the Cortege. The Morga is my least favorite of the two, mostly because how it shoots. It's just a bit wonky for me, but still super strong weapon. It has the alternate fire which shoots out projectiles that explode like the Cortege, but these explode after traveling a short distance or bouncing off the ground, and deal much more damage than the Cortege's alternate fire. The radioactive cannon, the Mandanel, itself is decent with just its primary fire, but it really shines when you use its alternate fire, which gives the bolts tons of buffs, including 2x damage, status chance, 10% crit chance, 50% critical damage, plus 2 bounce, 1 meter punch through, and increase to projectile speed. And now, last but most recent, the Arbucept. The newest addition to the Archgun lineup is amazing, shooting 6 shots per pull of the trigger, each inflicting 1 of the 6 combined elements. You can't mod in multi-shot. Instead, the modded in multi-shot becomes more added damage. Again, this one has low crit chance, but its 6-shot can add up quickly when using secondary innervate. Something new added onto this setup is prone deadly efficiency, which grants us even more damage when reloading it from an empty magazine. And trust me, you'll be emptying out quite a bit. Alright, that was each and every Archgun setup besides the lower variants. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments how this video turned out, what I could do better, if I need to explain some stuff more, show off the weapons a bit more, whatever you think. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.